Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. We're going to try this again and see if we can where we can go with this as far as the recap. That's right, the recap, and want to make sure that everyone has a chance to kind of chime in. So definitely, um, you know, let's see here. Just want to make sure that we're on point. Make sure we're rocking and rolling, and I think we're good to go. Yeah, we are. All right, cool. So, hope that you're doing well. Definitely let me know where you're watching from. And it's been a minute since I've been live. In living color. Had a chance to get some R&R, and I'll tell you about it. I've been to 7 different countries over the past, well, 7 different African countries over the past 6 weeks or so. And what an adventure! What a learning experience! But I did get a chance to get some R&R, so this is just a little bit of R&R right here, and so that was cool. This is a shot right here when I arrived in Zimbabwe. In Zim, had a chance to hang out down in South Africa. That was a group we had down in South Africa with our partnership with Urban Intellectuals. So that was our first group down in South Africa. So that was cool. And then this here is in Botswana. Botswana. That's right. The Three Chiefs. So much. I tell you, one of the things I tell people, I say, is there's so much that we don't know. And that's what these adventures, and I call them adventures because they're such learning experiences that when people start telling me, well, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know why you doing that, this, that, and the other. I was like, well, I just don't want to be ignorant, because what I discovered in going to 7 different countries is how much we don't know. When you go to some place like Zambia, which is often confused with the Gambia. That's one of the reasons why the Gambia is called the Gambia, because it was getting confused with Zambia. Zambia is one of the nicest places. Lusaka, and learning, going to the Tambo, Oliver Tambo, where he stayed for many years. Most people don't even know who Oliver Tambo is. We know about Nelson Mandela, but we don't know about Oliver Tambo. And so it's those things. Spending time in South Africa, I have such a appreciation and respect for South Africa and the fight of South Africans in general, and what they were dealing with, really along the same times of what many Black Americans, what they were dealing with during the Civil Rights Movement. And you get into that history and you start understanding what was going on, and you can't have anything but respect for those who were actually fighting. And same thing in Namibia. I went to Namibia and didn't really know much about Namibia, but then you go and you begin to learn, and you say, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. This is stuff they don't put in the average American history book. But then you have so many people in America who stand up and say, well, okay, I'm an expert in history. But to omit Namibia and Botswana and Zimbabwe and Zambia and South Africa and Lesotho and just Mozambique, that whole part of the world, to omit that is really not someone who's really serious about history and understanding that part. But the 7 countries that I went to, we had a group in Egypt. It started off in Egypt in February, and then went to Ghana, then South Africa, and then I did the 4 countries, and then I took a break, went on a vacation. This, and like I said, this was me on vacation. This is my vacation. Yeah, I do get away. I do get away because it's. I don't consider it work, but then at the same time, when you're going back to back to back to back to back like that, if you don't take time out for yourself and really, do some self care and all of that, then it can overtake you. Sometimes people get consumed by what they're doing because they don't really, pull back and say, all right, let me take stock of everything. But one of the things that I've also realized is that therapy through travel, because I think the biggest lesson, not the biggest, but one of the biggest lessons, and I talked about this in my interview with Leslie Jones. One of the biggest things is that so many people get caught in this rat race. And what the rat race does is it says, okay, you work, Monday comes around, you work from 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 3, whatever the time frame is. You do that, you get off, you're in the grind, you're dead tired, then you turn around and do it all again Tuesday. Same thing on Wednesday. Same thing on Thursday. Same thing on Friday. And by the time Saturday comes around, of course, Friday night just got paid. And boom, 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 boom. Yeah, you know how to do Johnny Kemp. Then Saturday comes, everybody's tired. And then, obviously you do Saturday activities. Sunday comes around. Some people, do church thing or whatever, however their day goes. And then they do it all over again. And before you know it, the years stack up. 10 years go by, 20 years go by, and you're like, well, dang, what else is there to life? Is this what life is? Just the same cycle over and over, and you see that same cycle just kind of around the world. And in 2016, I realized that I was in the cycle. It was probably really before that, but it was like 2016 was like, okay, how's life going to look? Am I just going to just grind this thing out to the end, or am I going to really take life by the horns? And for as much of life that I could control, because obviously we can't control but so much, because life has a way of being life. What type of life do I want, and how do I want to craft it, and how am I going to live it? And so I made a determination in 2016 that things had to change. But because I was so limited in my exposure, because I got in the grind so early, I really didn't know what. I didn't know how life should look. Or life it was always a dream. It was always a hope. It was always a wish. It was always, one day I hope to be able to do this, that, or the other. Maybe after I put in my 40 years of doing whatever, and then I'll be able to go see the world and whatever. So at that point, I just knew something had to change, and decided to really start positioning myself financially to do different things, paying things off, just kind of getting out of that side of the rat race. And then by the time 2018 came around, there was more flexibility. I paid my dues, and I tell people all the time, I paid my dues just across the board. And so then just took a chance. I said, I'm gonna go to Africa. And that's when I went to Ghana. And then, for those who've been following the journey, Ghana opened a door mentally to so many things. So what it really did was show me how much I didn't know. And if ever you hear somebody talk about, them Africans sold us into slavery and they don't like us over there, that is such an elementary argument that is void of depth. If ever you hear somebody that, if that's what they're leading with, and if that's what they're standing on, they are telling you, they are revealing their level of ignorance. It's not to say that didn't happen. Well, first of all, the thing I always say is that, okay, when were you a slave? When was I a slave? None of us have been enslaved physically, unless, we got caught up in this American criminal justice system or something like that. But as far as the context of what they're talking about, they're speaking as if they have been enslaved themselves, versus really looking at it from maybe some of their ancestors were enslaved or something to that effect. But they're holding the people today who didn't enslave anyone. They're upset with them, and so they're like, well, I don't ever want to go to Africa because they sold us into slavery and blah, 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 blah. And I had that same mindset too until I understood the story, until I went and saw and learned, and someone really explained the complexities of what was happening during that time. First of all, it wasn't the entire continent, and the way that it was breaking down based upon ethnic groups, I was like, it began to make sense. And what it did was it helped me to see how immature my thinking was, and how limited my thinking was, and how juvenile my thinking was, to be offended with people who had absolutely nothing to do with what occurred during that time. And I hear a lot of people in America, including a lot of Black Americans, are just upset with the whole continent of Africa, the entire continent, over that. and they're missing out. That's what I'm realizing. It's like, so when I'm going to Namibia and I'm finding out, man, these people were fighting the same daggone things that we were fighting in America, just by a different name. I mean, you saw they were being lynched and hung and all of this stuff. And I'm saying, well, I'm saying that. So the thing is, what I realize is that how my mind had been played. And it's like, I'm upset with people who are fighting the same fight, fighting against the same thing. But I've been convinced, and this is how I had to begin to shift my thinking. I've been convinced to be upset about something that, you know, it's like, wow, I'm convinced to be upset about something that, that one I never lived through personally, and really have no comprehension or understanding of, other than what I read about in a book, or what somebody told me in an American history book, or somebody told me, from some story or something like that. But when I went, and especially you go to South Africa and you begin to learn about what was going on in Durban and what was going on in Joburg, it's hard to hold an offense. It really is. When you see the images and you see how hard they were fighting, and the stuff that they were doing, which really mirrored a lot of what was happening in America. And then actually talking to people who lived through it, and people who still bear the scars. It's so those types of lessons, I walk away from and become more enriched as a person, because I'm able to now empathize, but then also relate, but then also learn from. And it's not like, and then the other thing that I've stopped doing is like coming to the continent or going to the continent and feeling as though, I'm now this savior. I'm taking them, let me go take them something because they need my help over there, and they need me to come bring my whatever it is, without really understanding this both sides. There's a piece of the puzzle that different parts of Africa has that I need, and there's some things that I bring to the table that they can benefit from as well. So it's not this one-sided thing. Oh, I'm going to take some shoes, and I'm going to take some clothes, and I'm going to take some books, and I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take that. And really half of the stuff that we're taking over there is just recycled educational garbage that they really don't need, because it's the same stuff that we've been peddled. So that's the thing. When I go over and I'm sitting there and I'm learning and I'm listening, I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I need to be bringing some of this stuff over here in the name of education, in the name of whatever. I might need to sit my behind down and listen and learn and really glean from what I'm being taught. And that's the power of what happens. And it doesn't negate what the things that I've learned over the years in America, but what it does, it adds to it, or it corrects it. Or sometimes you have to correct some of the things that you hear on the continent that may be off. It's not that everything is going to be right that you hear something. I say, I don't know about that. I hear you telling me that, but I might need to, let me do a little bit more research and let me make sure that things are on point. So that's why, one of the things we do, in particular with Maximum Impact, is we go and we create these experiences for people to just see for themselves. And these are people who are highly educated in the American education system, and they go and they say, Jay, I thought I knew something, but I realized I didn't know as much as I thought I knew. And when they walk away with that, they're able to say, man, wow, what an experience. What an experience. And that's what 7 countries taught me. And that's why I like to go different places. And I just don't go to Africa. I go to African diaspora destinations. And I'll be sharing with you real soon some new places I went, and I got some DNA. We're going to be bringing, when I go back to Ghana, we'll sit down with Morris and have Morris share his results, because he did African ancestry and he also did ancestry DNA. But I got some DNA from some other places in the African diaspora I think you're going to be interested in. And I think these results, when they come back, will be quite fascinating, especially for places that say that they don't come from Africa. They're like, I'm not from Africa, and this, that, and the other. So some of this DNA is going to, kind of see whether or not there is some African connections in there. But yeah, so that's that's what, just some of the updates is just you go, we're doing our travel show in a couple of days. So I'm looking forward to that. We have another big year. People traveling to the continent. We just had a group of almost 40 people in Ghana. We have another group of people that's going to Egypt. And I do not go on all the trips, so just to let everybody know. So, you may or may not see me on a trip, just depending, just depending on the group and what's going on. But we have two groups. We have a group going to Egypt in a couple of weeks, and then we have a group going to Ghana towards the end of April. Then we have another group in Egypt in May. Then we take a break in June again. Then we kick it back up. We'll be in Tanzania in July, Egypt July, Ghana August. Then we have coming up in August South Africa, Senegal, the Gambia, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria. So we got a lot going on, just to that's what's going on here with Maximum Impact, and we look forward to being able to share it. I'm going to break it all down in a couple of days anyway when we do the travel show. And so if it's something that you would like to, if you're someone who wants to expand your knowledge base and you want to be able to connect, that's something that we'll definitely invite you to be a part of. And just so everybody knows, and I just kind of put this out here, we are not the cheap, low budget trip to Africa organization. We create experiences, and it's not just a trip. We really get into creating experiences, life-changing experiences for people that they can move forward and build upon. And so that's just to kind of let people know. And also when it comes to like consultations and things like that, the reason why they're not cheap is because we spend tens of thousands, really hundreds of thousands of dollars traveling, learning, all of that. And so, people will waste your time if they can. And normally the one way to figure out if somebody's going to waste your time is when they put skin in the game, and you can find out who's serious, because time is so short. And so for those who are really serious, they understand that. Those who are not serious, then they have a problem with that. So it's like, hey, if you're serious about making a move, then you want to get proper consultation. You want to make sure that you're going to get the information that you need and move forward, and respect those who've already paved the way for you, and not come with the, well, why can't you just give it to me? So that's somebody who's not serious. Somebody who's serious already knows that they're going to have to put some skin in the game. And if they're not going to put skin in the game, then they're not ready to really play ball. And so these are just things that I learned as I travel around, and things that I hear. So many of us want to make a move, or we're trying to get away from whatever we call KK America, whatever it is, but then you want to do it on the cheap. And it's like, yo, you're going to get burned. You're going to get scammed. You're going to get hustled. You're going to get pimped. You're going to get backslapped. You're going to get, all those kind of things. And if you're willing to, put the time in and do it just like you would anything else, just like you going to Disney, just like you getting on Delta, just like you're getting treated the same way, then your result will be a lot better. But so often, especially you'll run into people, they'll see some melanin and they're automatically looking for the hookup. And I tell people, I said, I don't do hookups. I said, I'm done with the hookups. I did hookups for 20 some odd years in a previous profession. I'm done with the hookups. If you're serious and you want to play ball, then we can look out for you and make sure you have a great experience, or point you in the right direction. But if you come in with that, man, I need to hook up, man, I ain't trying, and you know what I'm saying, look out for brother, man, and all that kind of stuff. Wrong people, wrong, those people will waste your time. And they'll tell you up front, because they'll start complaining, they'll start whining, and they start going through all of that, going through all that stuff. And again, they'll waste your time. But those who are ready to play ball, shoot, they can get it done. And those are the people who win. Those are the people who, and this is what I understand. When it was time for me to go out here and start traveling, I'll never forget. It was the beginning of 2019. And I put a post out, and I was talking about I think I was talking about climbing Kilimanjaro or something like that. And I said, yeah, I'm thinking about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And so people are like, yeah, I'm gonna climb Kilimanjaro. I can do it next year. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna get my money, this, that, and the other. And instantly, what I said to myself is, you know what? I better go climb Kilimanjaro this year, because if I wait until next year, they're not gonna have their money. So people when it's time to put up the money, you already know that's when it's gonna weed out everybody who's not serious. So I said, I better go do this now, and I stopped talking. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because for those who are who want to really move forward, sometimes you gotta leave people. Sometimes you can't sit there. All right, well, when you ready, I said, hey, you know what? They were talking about they were going to be ready in 2020. I said, I'm supposed to go climb in 2019. I put my money down. So Kilimanjaro cost me, I think I had to put down, I forget how much I had to put down actually. But I know that just the climb by itself cost $3,000. Then I had to buy all of my equipment. I had to buy shoes. I went through to find the right boots, hiking boots and everything. I went through like $1,000 worth of boots to be able to figure out the right ones. Cause I've got these big old flat wide feet. All y'all talk about my hands and how big my hands are. Well, my feet are the same kind of situation. So, so I knew at that point, folks were talking at that point. So now if I'm sitting there waiting around, and people who get things done understand exactly what I'm saying. People who have excuses are bothered by what I'm saying. But it's like, I knew I needed to climb Kilimanjaro, and I said it. I put my money down. I climbed Kilimanjaro in August of 2019. COVID came to America in March of 2020. If I waited a year, then I would have never climbed Kilimanjaro. I would have been delayed in the things that I needed to do and the lessons I was supposed to learn and all that kind of stuff that I was supposed to get in August 2019. So I would have been delayed. I've been pushed back a whole year, and I would have missed out on so many different opportunities. So what I'm saying is, for the people who are not, who understand, hey, sometimes you got to move without people. Sometimes you got to move and not ask for permission. Sometimes you got to go and do what it is that you need to do. Leaders understand sometimes you have to lead from the front and from the back. Sometimes you have to go and not worry about what people have to say and do what you need to do, and then let the rest, let the chips fall where they may. And so after 2019, 2020 came, I was still traveling to the continent. As soon as the borders opened back up, I was going back over, laying the foundation. 2021 came around. And when 2021 came around, we were still offering tours for people who wanted to go. And so because we were willing to do that, there were people who were like, look, I'm ready to roll. I got to do what I got to do. There were some people who were like, no, I'm still afraid. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to wait till they give me permission to leave. Other people are like, yo, I got to go. Now, this is, again, each person's conviction is whatever each person's conviction. I understand that was a sensitive time. But for the people who moved in 2021, they were able to get those experiences during that time. And so, I was going to Brazil, I was going to different parts of Africa, just crossed over 21 countries. And that's the mindset that we operate with Maximum Impact. We go, we do what we need to do. We handle our business, and that's what it is. And so we make no apologies for that. And we throw no shade on anyone for somebody who doesn't want to do that, but we also don't receive shade as far as us being, assertive and aggressive and making the different moves that we need to make. And that's one of the reasons why the name is so, important, Maximum Impact. That's why we're able to go make an impact, because when it's time to make a move, we get out here, do what we need to do, unapologetically, and it is what it is. And I can tell you, it's been very fulfilling over the past couple of years. So with that, if you want to learn more about what we're doing, how you can connect with it, we're going to talk about, we have a real estate tour coming up later in the year. You can get information about that. Just go to MaximumImpactTravel.com, sign up to be on our mailing list, but you can also check out our destinations and really begin this whole process of seeing and learning. We call it education through travel. For some people, it's therapy through travel. For some people, it's just leisure through travel, having a good time, meeting new people, becoming a part of a culture and a community of people who have a mindset of getting things done. That's really what it is, getting things done, making moves. If you feel like you want to go, hey, I want to go to Tanzania, you can go to Tanzania. If you want to go to Senegal, come on, let's go to Senegal. And not sitting back and waiting for people to say that it's okay for you to do it. Sometimes you wait around for some people, they'll never tell you it's okay to do it. And then before you know it, it's too late. Time has passed. And now is the time for you to do it. Now is the time for you to make those moves. And so that's what we hope to demonstrate. So anyway, that's just a little bit. I got so much more. I'm not going to keep you too long tonight. But hopefully we'll see you at the travel show coming up. You can go to bit.ly Africa Travel Show if you want to sign up. That's coming up on March 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so we're looking forward to seeing folks there as well. So anyway, that's the deal. We'll be back with more lives. Talk to you soon. Here's a little bit about Tanzania.
Tanzania has become a popular destination for travelers due to its exotic wildlife and iconic topography. This East African country is known for the highest freestanding mountain in the world, Mount Kilimanjaro. It is also home to the vast Serengeti National Park, an ecosystem all its own with hundreds of animal species. Maximum Impact Travel will take you on a safari like no other as we set out to encounter the Big Five: the lion, the leopard, the rhino, the elephant, and the buffalo. You may see these animals in their natural habitat. You will also have a chance to visit the impressive Ngorongoro crater, the world's largest volcanic depression estimated to have formed 2.5 million years ago. Come with us to meet the semi-nomadic Maasai people who've held on to their traditional way of life despite being moved from their homeland. We will then show you the breathtaking beauty of Zanzibar, known the world over as a tropical paradise. An autonomous province of Tanzania, Zanzibar is located in the Indian Ocean and is a cultural mix of Africans, Arabs, Indians, Persians, and Europeans. It is a major producer of spices such as cloves, nutmeg, turmeric, and cinnamon. But Zanzibar's claim to fame? Its miles of powder white sand beaches and warm, crystal clear turquoise waters. Come experience Tanzania and Zanzibar for yourself with Maximum Impact Travel.